So, we are learning more about what happened the day Michael Brown was shot and killed in Fergson, Missouri. Now, a copy of the county's official autopsy was leaked to a St. Louis newspaper, and it shed some new light on how Brown was killed. Jonathan Betts is here now with more on the details of that report.
Yeah, Tony, new details came out today because this autopsy report concludes the unarmed team was shot in the hand at close range, and it appears to support the Fergson officer's version of what happened that day in August. For months, protesters have said that 18-year-old Michael Brown had his hands up when he was shot by Officer Darren Wilson. But the official autopsy report appears to suggest otherwise. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch asked two experts not associated with the case to review it. A forensic pathologist who reviewed the report says it does not support witness claims that Brown was shot while running away or with his hands up. Wilson has told investigators that Brown reached through the window of his vehicle and tried to grab his gun. A medical examiner who also reviewed the report says the evidence does support that there was a significant altercation at the car. Wilson said he fired twice during the struggle, hitting Brown in the hand. Sources tell the Post-Dispatch that Brown's blood was found on Wilson's gun. Wilson has reportedly said he feared for his life when he fired several more shots. In all, the autopsy found 3 gunshot wounds to Michael Brown's head, 2 to his chest, another 3 to his right arm, and 1 to his right hand. The forensic pathologist says Brown was facing Wilson when several of the shots were fired. A toxicology analysis included in the report says that Brown had marijuana in his system at the time. A private autopsy arranged by Brown's family mostly agrees with the official report, but that examination said that none of the gunshot wounds appear to be fired at close range. Now, the Brown family attorney told the Associated Press today the official autopsy offers no insight into why Wilson killed Brown. That officer remains on paid administrative leave as a grand jury now decides whether any charges should be filed in this case. Tony.
All right, Jonathan Betts for us. Jonathan, appreciate it. Thank you. Well, let's bring in criminal defense attorney John Manuelian to walk us through this. John, good to talk to you. So we've got this leaked autopsy report that seems to support the officer's claim that Michael Brown went for his gun. It seems to suggest that Brown didn't have his hands up in the standard kind of surrender position. What's your reaction to what's in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch?
I think it's still early. There's other autopsy reports that haven't been done. Remember, there's a federal investigation and a federal autopsy report being done at this point in time. The only thing that we have at this point in time to indicate that this shot was done at close range is Dr. Michael Boden's report. Dr. Boden's report indicates that it was done at close range, but again, Benjamin Crump, who was the attorney for Michael Brown, is right. We don't know why he shot him. It seems at this point that it still may be excessive, even if Michael Brown was by the car, even if there was a confrontation. Why did he have to shoot him in the head?
Right.
That is deadly force. And that's something that's going to be looked at this point.
Okay, John, a couple of points. I'm going to try to build towards something here. Is the leak, in your view, to be trusted, given that the authorities have made a habit in this case, as you know, of releasing information that would suggest that Michael Brown was a bad guy? And I'm thinking of the surveillance store video.
You know, I have a lot of trust in our judicial system. I trust that the prosecutors in Missouri, before they go in front of the grand jury, are going to present all the evidence, not just the bad evidence, the evidence that points to guilt as well as innocence. That's required under a case called Brady. Brady material is evidence that tends to show signs of innocence. So I'm positive and I have confidence that the prosecutors are doing that right now. They're just hashing out what's going on as far as the autopsy in relation to the corroborating evidence and the information that was provided to them. So I do have all the utmost faith that that justice will be carried in this case.
That the exculpatory evidence will be included as well, is what you're saying. You have faith in that?
It should be. It should be. I do have faith in that because it's a high-profile case. The prosecutors in Missouri know that this is going to be scrutinized and will be reviewed at some point in time. So I think it would be wise for them to disclose all the exculpatory evidence, including the inculpatory evidence.
Okay, so John, how do you read the disclosure in the autopsy report that there was marijuana in Michael Brown's blood system at the time of his death?
I think at this point in time, without knowing the levels of intoxication, without knowing exactly how high he was or what those levels were, it's speculative. I think it would play a factor if we noticed that there was high levels of THC. But again, most people that smoke marijuana don't get aggressive. It's not consistent with somebody that's smoking that drug. If anything, marijuana makes you more tame, makes you more relaxed. But if the levels were very high, an argument could be made that Officer Wilson was acting in self-defense because he was being belligerent and acting in conformity with the high levels of THC.
Okay, so this is the point I want to get to right now. Thank you for teeing it up. What's clear so far is that there was some kind of a significant altercation at the car, correct? Will you walk that out with me? Some kind of altercation at the car. But it doesn't tell us who started that altercation, right? And whether Brown was reaching for the gun in an offensive or defensive way, correct?
Yes, and I want to say something, Tony. I've been doing this for almost 15 years now. It's very, very rare when a defendant is that brazen to go and grab a cop's gun. Most people know when you do that, the officer is authorized to use deadly force because there's imminent and apparent deadly force. I find that part of the officer's testimony quite suspect, to be honest with you.
Okay, so, but here's, you're a defense attorney, so wear this hat for me. If you're in your position, don't you love this leak because at the very least it muddies the water here?
I like being fair in every case. I don't like leaks. I don't like being not fair. So this leaking game that's going on is really not fair to the justice system because it's being tried in the public eye instead of being tried in the court where it belongs.
Okay, and that's my next point. Don't these leaks put the community, the same community from which a jury will come from if there is an indictment here, in a horrible position of having to make a decision here as to whether to believe the black witnesses to this case or the police officer who has been placed in a position of trust, who's taken an oath to protect and serve?
Right. Well, we got to remember, at this point in time, the law says that this officer, Officer Wilson, is innocent until proven guilty. We have nothing but allegations and suspicions, and allegations and suspicions are not enough to convict somebody. So we have to give the officer the benefit of the doubt. But going back to this grand jury and the demographic of where this is actually happening, I am convinced that this is not going to stay in Missouri if there is an indictment. There will be a motion to change venue. I think any defense attorney would be crazy to try this in Missouri because I think in time this jury pool has already been tainted.
I agree. And John, what are your thoughts on the possibility, probability of an indictment in this case based on what we're hearing from this leaked autopsy report and some of the other character work that's been done against Michael Brown in that community?
I think it comes down to whether or not Detective Wilson's, Officer Wilson's statements are going to be corroborated. If they are corroborated, that tends to help his testimony, and that may be seen by a grand jury to be exculpatory. But you know the saying goes, Tony, you can indict a ham sandwich. So the odds are, if they're looking for an indictment, they're probably going to get one.
Criminal defense attorney Michael Manuelian joining us from Los Angeles. John, it was good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.